Hello and welcome to Living Life Naturally. I'm your host, Lynn Wadsworth, a board-certified holistic health practitioner and a certified wellness cooking instructor, and I'm here to help you walk in your own truth as you enter into this new and exciting season of life. So here on the podcast, we explore everything that helps you thrive, not just survive, in this powerful season of life. We talk about natural, holistic solutions for your health, your hormones, your energy, and your mindset, because midlife isn't the end of the story, it's the beginning of an entirely new chapter. So before we dive into today's conversation, I'd love to invite you ladies to come and join me in my free Facebook community, the Energized Healthy Women's Club. It's a beautiful space where I share weekly tips, strategies, and inspiration to help you boost your health, vitality, and well-being in natural, practical ways. So grab your favorite cup of tea, get cozy, and let's get into today's episode. Welcome everyone to the Living Life Naturally podcast, where you can get information on all things to do with midlife, menopause, perimenopause. And we love if you have questions, and you can drop them in the comments below this when it's been published out, and we'll be very happy to get back with you. And in the meantime, I want to welcome our guest today. First of all, I want to remind you that if you're in Apple, Spotify, on YouTube watching or listening to this, please follow us or drop a comment or a 5-star review. That's always so very meaningful to us. So thank you so much. And today, and I hope that I pronounced the name right, I have Terry Tateossian, and she is the founder of the House of Rose, a wellness community for women over 40, and the host of the podcast, How Good Can It Get? Terry is an ISSA certified personal trainer and nutritionist, registered yoga teacher, and IIN-Certified hormone specialist, and emotional eating coach. And as the former co-founder and CEO of a successful marketing agency, Terry suffered severe health problems while running her agency, enduring multiple hospitalizations and early onset perimenopause at just 37. At 42, Terry embarked on her transformative health journey, successfully shedding over 80 pounds and healing her physical and emotional issues. So today she's trained hundreds of women and walked in 2025 New York and Paris Fashion Weeks. That's awesome. Her primary focus is helping women over 40 become the healthiest versions of themselves, proving that it's never too late to build strength, vitality, and self-acceptance. Huge portions of the natural holistic wellness foundation that we all need. So welcome, Terry. So thrilled to have you joining us today.
Thank you, Lynn. I am so happy to be here and to chat with you.
And I want to ask you what got you. I know that we have talked a little in your bio about what you're all about, but I'd love to hear in your own words what your story is, what your journey was.
So my journey is very typical to what a lot of us have been experiencing or are experiencing in our 20s, 30s, 40s, and into our 50s. So I am going to be 49 this year, and I'm very, very happy about it. But in my 30s, I spent the majority of my 30s being pregnant. I had 2 children. One was at 30, one was at 35. And slowly but surely, I gained over 80 pounds and could not figure out how to get it off. I tried everything, right? So this is 12 years ago. The options were a little bit more limited back then. Didn't have all of these crazy things that are happening right so thankfully that was I got lucky there, because I had to find the right way, the natural way. And I went through the same path that a lot of us are going through right now, but it was less complicated. So I did all the different diets, right? I tried all the different supplements. I went to all the different, quick fixes I could find. I bought a lot of exercise equipment at 2 a.m. on I still have that equipment. It serves as clothes hangers and, you name it, I did it, okay? And eventually I realized that restrictive diets don't work. Diets that cut out complete food groups did not work for me. And unbeknownst to me at the time, I had entered perimenopause at 37. So everything was going haywire. I mean, things were happening to me that I could not understand. I had never experienced before. My moods were changing. My body was acting in a very bizarre way. I had massive amounts of anxiety, followed by depression cycles. I started over abusing alcohol. I was still trying to run a business and raise kids during this period of time. And one day I was just sitting in my kitchen at my kitchen countertop and I had such crazy chest pains. I doubled over. I was basically in a fetal position and I thought I was having a heart attack. Now,
Mm.
heart disease and diabetes runs in my family. So both my grandfather had 4 heart attacks. He died of them.
Wow. Mm.
And my grandmother ended up dying of congestive heart failure because her heart failed, but she also had diabetes, type 2 diabetes. And so all these thoughts are racing through my mind. And I'm like, uh-oh, I'm having a heart attack, run to ER. And they kept me there for 2 days. They ran all the tests. They said, we can't figure out what's wrong with you. Here's a Xanax, go home. You probably
Uh,
have. And so I was like, all right, I'm clear. I got anxiety. Who cares? I can't deal with that right now. I'm right back to work, right? And right back to the same schedule, 18-hour days, children, family, all the things, travel. I just went right back to everything. I was still overweight, right? And so I was like, all right, I can't deal with this right now. It does serious. Guess what? It happened again, right? And again, same thing. And I thought this for sure. I mean, it's so painful when you get a panic attack like that.
mm.
And I was like, for sure, this one is a real heart attack. The doctors were wrong the last time. There's something wrong. This definitely doesn't feel right. But right back to ER. Same thing. And now they're like giggling at me, right? Because they remember. Like, oh, it's you again, right? And I just couldn't understand and I didn't believe them that there was nothing wrong with me. So I would be sitting in the hospital bed, my heart rate would be 165, 168. I'm on the monitors and I would grab the nurses and say, hey, what is this? Why is it so high? What's going on? And I'm like, what's causing it? Obviously it's stressing me out even more watching it. And I remember one of the nurses just looked at me and she said, you're causing it. You're doing that. And I just couldn't wrap my head around it. So again, they went through all of the tests. They said, we can't find evidence of a stroke or a heart attack. Here's a Xanax, go home. Go see a cardiologist. Go see a physician. Go lose some weight, basically was the answer. And so I said, okay, I don't really feel like repeating this a third time. So I went to a cardiologist. They couldn't find anything going on. The only thing they said was you have a slight heart murmur, but nothing that there's anything to be done about. I, ran all of my labs. I was pre-diabetic. I had ovarian cysts as well, about 18 of them. I had all kinds of other markers and things that were just, there were flagging, right? The engine light was on in my body, but nobody thought of testing my hormones back then. And so I was clueless. I was clueless what a hot flash was. I was clueless what brain fog was. At 37, I was still wearing pregnancy clothes because my last kid was 30. I had at 35. And yeah, so I just did that the old-fashioned way. I started working out, lifting weights. I learned about macronutrition. I learned about the importance of sleep, the importance of stress reduction, right? That's a big one.
Big one. Yeah.
Mhm. And I just went through the whole thing blindly. And for anybody wondering, like, how the heck do you go through perimenopause and not know that you're in perimenopause? Like, when did you figure it out? I figured it out when I was in menopause, when my period completely stopped showing up. First, I thought I was pregnant, and then realized eventually I was not pregnant, and I had entered menopause at 42.
Mm.
So yeah, that's my story.
Mm. And there are more and more women these days that go into early menopause. I mean, I went into it when I was 39, and I had been to see the gynecologist, and he was like, no, no way that you're in perimenopause, you're too young. And so I love to put out there for women that just because you're in your 30s doesn't mean this isn't happening to you. And, I know you go to a regular physician, you really don't get the testing to find out if you're truly perimenopausal. So it's very difficult to know. And often you just know by the symptoms. But in your case, you were just so confused by the symptoms because you were so young. And, we really need to learn more. And that's why I love doing this podcast, because there's so many people that come on and give some really good advice that is really like eye-opening to the people that are experiencing it. So I guess I just like to say to the women out there, if you are 37, 38, even a bit younger, and you're wondering, and actually anxiety is a part of perimenopause. So think about and do some research or reach out to somebody that can help you, because it does happen that young. And I know that one of the things that you talk about is that our bodies create millions of new cells every second. And explain to our listeners how what we eat or think impacts the quality of those cells, because we often don't think about the cells in our bodies.
So one of the reasons why I got so interested in cell regeneration was because I would look at photos of myself, and to all the listeners, you guys can go on my Instagram. It's my name there is How Good Can It Get? And you can see photos of me at 37, and you can see photos of me at 47, 48, 49. And yes, I have aged, but my skin looks better at
Hmm.
49 almost than it did at 39. My body looks better. Obviously, I dropped a lot of body fat, but in general, my energy is very different. I feel like, and a lot of people that meet me that met me through the process, they're like, whoa, what the heck happened? You look totally different. You're reversed, right? So I heard that over and over and over again, that I'm reverse aging, because at 37, I was drinking a lot of alcohol. I was 80 pounds overweight. I was eating a lot of garbage, a lot. I was eating a lot of sugar, and things were not going in the right direction. And once I turned the boat around, everything kind of calmed down, right? So my skin looks better, my energy is better, my eyesight got better. Can you
Hmm.
imagine? My hair got thicker. I get less cavities now than I did back then. So, like, a lot of these points of data started leading me towards understanding more about how the body regenerates and how the body works, right? So, in my studies in the last 10 years, what I have discovered, and this is probably common knowledge to a lot of people, but just in case you don't know, our bodies are constantly breaking down damaged cells and replacing them with new ones, right? So every second, I think the number is 3 to 4 million new cells are replaced in our body constantly. So our skin, our hair, our nails, inside of our organs, our liver completely changes, our stomach lining changes every 30 days, our bones are regenerated every 10 years. So there's a constant regeneration that happens, right? But the catch is that the new cells that are regenerated are built from the raw materials that we provide, right? So that means our nutrition, our thoughts, and our environment. And what we eat gives our bodies the essential amino acids, the fats, the micronutrients, and the antioxidants that the body needs to repair and rebuild or not, right? So if we're eating ultra processed food, we're handing our body a subpar building block to work with.
Mm.
And then on top of that, what we think and believe, those things influence gene expression as well, right? So chronic stress, negative self-talk, mental fatigue, all of these flood the body with cortisol, which inhibits regeneration and it accelerates inflammation and aging. And then what we do, right? So what we do in our day-to-day, how we move, how we sleep, how we breathe even, right? All of these signal whether the body should stay in breakdown mode, which is fight or flight, right? So the sympathetic nervous system, or shift into rebuild and repair mode, which is the parasympathetic rest and digest system, right? So yeah, we make millions of new cells every second, but the quality of those cells matters more than, right? And we influence that in our daily life, which is, I feel like I experienced that magical phenomenon.
Oh, that's awesome. And what kind of mistakes do women make? Because I've talked a lot, and I know I've researched a lot with anti-aging and with longevity. But what are some of the mistakes that women make when it comes to fueling their bodies for regeneration specifically and longevity?
Yeah, so far, in the time that I have been working with women one-on-one through coaching or at my retreats, I've done over 60 retreats at this.
Mm,
The same common theme keeps coming up, and I hear it over and over and over again, and I see it as well. The first one is under eating. It's chronic, right? So especially protein and total calories, right? So many women over 40 are and it's unintentional. It's unintentionally chronically under eating. Or another one I hear is eating clean, but not enough to support muscle hormones or cell repair, right? So low on protein and fearing carbs or fat. That's another one. So I
mm,
hear that all the time, just being afraid of carbs and fat. And it's interesting because carbs are essential. They're essential for thyroid function and for nervous system health, right? So a lot of times what happens when you cut down your carbs to be very low, and a lot of anxiety pops up.
mm,
Fats are crucial for hormone production, right? So avoiding both of them can wreck your energy and your aging resilience, right? Another one is skipping meals or intermittent fasting, but done inappropriately, right? So fasting can be powerful, but when you choose to start intermittent fasting in a period or a phase of life like perimenopause, when you're already stressed or your hormones are fluctuating, a lot of times it backfires, right? And then the other one I see all the time is over reliance on supplements instead of food,
mm,
right? So
mm,
collagen isn't magic. There's no powerful magic in collagen. Green powders are not magical. They're not going to replace actual full spectrum greens, right? And real nutrients come from real food. And I think that we're missing a lot of that because we get
Mm,
bombarded with this stuff everywhere we go.
mm,
Take this supplement, take that supplement, take this pill, take this, that. So yeah.
yeah. So you brought up protein, and there are a lot of theories and thoughts about protein, and it can be very hard for some people to calculate. So how can we calculate the actual amount of protein that we might need, and not just from the perspective of preventing deficiency, but from the perspective of being able to rebuild and thrive?
What a great question. And the answer is it depends. Just like everything in nutrition, it's very nuanced and very bio-individual, right? So every person, every individual has different needs and different goals. So depending on the goal or depending on the phase that you're in. So for example, what do I mean by a goal? It could mean you are looking to build muscle and technically gain weight on the scale while keeping body fat down. So your protein intake would be different in the same body, right? If you are looking to maintain your muscle mass and keep your body fat down and not gain or lose weight, your protein intake would be slightly different. And if you're looking to lose weight, the calculation would also be slightly different. So I'm going to address trying to lose body fat, that particular phase, while maintaining and building muscle mass. Because oftentimes we are overweight, but under muscled, right?
Mm,
So, for example, if I currently weigh 180 pounds, but I would feel better. And again, the scale is a liar, so don't go by the scale, go by how you feel. But let's say I'm going to throw a number out. I would feel better, and my lab work and my symptoms would be better if I weighed 150 pounds. The way that I would calculate my protein intake is I would take my ideal body weight, and now by ideal, maybe I should change it. My desired body weight, which would be 150, and multiply that by 1 or by 1.2. So that's the range you want to be at. That would make it 150 grams of protein per day. And the average that I see personally, I directly work with women. The average that I see when women first start working with me is about 70 to 80 grams of protein per day, which is barely enough for normal bodily functions, right? It's not really promoting longevity. It's not helping you retain muscle mass that we start losing as early as age 30 at about 1 to 3% per year. It's not really a sustainable way. And so it's a lot. 150 sounds like a lot. And what I teach my clients is that you take that and you break it down into 4 to 5 small meals, and you try and get in 25 to 30 grams per meal. In the beginning, it's a little more difficult, but your body starts adjusting, adapting, and it starts loving it, right? So yeah, those would be
mm,
my suggestions.
mm. And you're a trainer, so from your perspective, how does strength training influence the cellular regeneration process and actually slow down aging?
My favorite topic. I love this topic. So a lot of women are resisting strength training because there's a lot of they don't feel confident in the gym or with the weight machines or with the dumbbells or whatever type of equipment is that there is, right? However, strength training, and I'm going to define it very clearly because there's a lot of comments I get as well. Well, I walk with a weighted vest. Isn't that resistance?
Mm.
No, I'm sorry. I do a lot of swimming. Is that resistance training? No. I do yoga 5 times a week. Is that resistance training? No. I do Pilates. No, none of these are resistance training. Resistance training is having enough mechanical load on your skeletal structure, right? So that means load-bearing exercises. That means progressive overload over time. And I can go into all of those, but for this purpose, I want to address why strength training helps you with the regeneration process and with slowing down aging. Because it's not just about aesthetics or muscles, right? It's literally a pro longevity medicine, right? And so here's how it supports regeneration. Strength training stimulates muscle protein synthesis, right? And that tells your body to build and repair rather than decay. So when you're using your muscles, you're breaking them down. And then the body's forced to repair technically the damage that you did to, let's say, your quads or your glutes or your deltoids. And when you sleep, the body uses that rest period to go and repair, meaning regenerate that muscle tissue that you just damaged, right? It also triggers anti-inflammatory
Mm.
molecules that are released during resistance exercise, right? So that helps you with brain health, immune function. It helps with your metabolism. So while you're working out, the body has to adapt to the strenuous part of your activities, right? And then it also improves insulin
Mm.
sensitivity, right? And so that reduces the risk of chronic diseases as well, like diabetes and all kinds of other things that and it improves your energy regulation, right? So if they could bottle strength training as a drug, it would be a dollar anti-aging blockbuster. And it breaks my heart that so many women are resisting it. I'm like, I feel
Mm.
like a broken record at my retreats because that's all I want to talk about because everybody's just like, oh no, we just walk. I'm like, no.
How do you feel about things like the bands that people use?
I
Uh,
bands. I use bands in a lot of my programs.
mm.
They're a really great way to start, right? So in the very beginning, when you are first learning the proper form or, how to do certain exercises or you're working out from home. So a lot of us start out at home. Um, and they are great, but different variations of resistance bands with, different resistances. So, you can have something like 10 pounds, 25, 30, 40, 50 pounds. I think they're fantastic. But at some point, you want to progress past it, right? And that's what
Mm.
progressive overload means. It's challenging yourself over a long period of time to get stronger and stronger, so your body builds more resilience over time.
Mm. That's great. You've given us some great information there, and I know we've really only touched the surface of what it's all about, but I appreciate your time today. And where is the best place for people to find you?
You can find me on my website. It's thehouseofrose.com, and all information is there about coaching, about retreats, in-person retreats. We do have a few spots available in our group coaching program this year. We're usually sold out and fully booked. Same thing with our retreats. Unfortunately, every single retreat in 2025 has sold out. I think there's only one still open in October. But then after that, everything is completely full. And we are releasing the 2026 schedule. We're going to be doing Sedona and
Mm.
south of France next year. I'm very excited about that. We're
Yeah.
nice. So the south of France is going to have 2 dates, one in April, one in September, and Sedona is in June. And so, yeah, I'm very excited about all of that. I love connecting with women and sharing my passion for this because I am like, I'm just a walking, talking, breathing experiment. And I like to share. And then the other place you can find me is Instagram. My name there is How Good Can It Get? Because it could get good.
And don't forget your podcast, because I'm sure you have some good information there.
Yes, so my podcast is also How Good Can It Get?
That's great. So all of those will be in the show notes. And I really appreciate you coming on with me today and sharing all of this great information. Thanks so much, Terry.
Thank you, Lynn. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for spending your time with me today on the Living Life Naturally podcast. I really hope you enjoyed today's conversation and that it inspired you, encouraged you, and reminded you that midlife isn't something to endure, it's a season to embrace. So if you enjoyed this episode, would you do me a huge favor? Please take a minute to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you'll be the first to know when new episodes drop. So until next time, ladies, remember, you are strong, you are wise, and you are just getting started. Take care of yourself because you are so worth it.